Thursday, welcome back to Hot News. Hope you're enjoying your life. We got an existential question of the day before we get started in the news, which is, if prunes are just dried plums, then where do we get the prune juice from? Because you would have to rehydrate the prunes, which would make it a plum, and therefore it's plum juice, right? Huh? Once you rehydrate a prune, isn't it a plum? You rehydrate a raisin, is it a grape? That's probably more the existential question than the juice issue. We need the facts here, okay? If we don't have facts, we got fake news. And I'm tired of the fake news mafia pushing out news about prune juice. It's plum juice. Give plum juice its credit. And you could give us some credit by picking up our merch, today's video sponsor. We're actually gonna be running a 15% off sale of everything on our merch store. You can use the coupon code Voldemort to save 15% off of everything, obviously with the world in upheaval and us being dependent on advertisers to make money. Our future is uncertain, so if you wanna buy dope shirts like this colorful CPU breakout, or we have other ones from our previous merch lines, just use coupon code Voldemort and you can save 15%, my friends. Links in the video description. Speaking of Voldemort, to get into our first article of the day, which is not the headline, but I think it needs to be celebrated first up and foremost. We did a video on Saturday about folding at home and how you can join in the fight against Voldemort by using your computer's PC power. Well, now it turns out that folding at home has now exceeded 1.5 exaflops of computing power. So that's basically on par with the next fastest supercomputer that's supposed to be released in 2 years. Their network is insane. It's faster than the top 10, top 20 supercomputers all combined. Basically add up every supercomputer in the world, and it's not as much resources as what's going to folding at home right now, which is great news for the fight against Voldemort. But while you're waiting for Voldemort work units, it's actually great for all of the other fights that have been ongoing, such as their research against Alzheimer's and Huntington's disease and cancer and a bunch of others. I personally am super invested in this because my son has a neurological disease that's based on a protein, and maybe one day people can fold for his genetic disorder. Only 400 people in the world have it, so I'm not sure they're gonna dedicate like an entire thing to that, but that would be great, wouldn't it? That's the future, I imagine. So congrats to all PC gamers who are donating all of their hardware to it. Folding at Home provided a breakdown based on Windows, Linux, macOS, AMD GPUs, Nvidia GPUs, and CPUs so that you can see, and you can just look at that. Gorgeous, it's glorious. But you know what's not glorious? You know what's bad news for AMD? Somebody stole the coding to their GPUs. Not just the GPUs that are out, like Navi 10, but upcoming GPUs that aren't even out yet. Apparently back in December, AMD submitted a DMCA takedown on GitHub because somebody was posting repositories of leaks of the GPU codes on the internet saying that they have it. They're just providing some information so you can see that they have it, and then they're gonna sell it off to the highest bidder. They think it's worth $100 million, but the hacker said that if she doesn't get the $100 million, she's just gonna post it for free out on the internet anyway. So if she doesn't get the money, she's gonna post the source codes for all of AMD's GPUs that are forthcoming. It's gonna make it so that AMD's private secrets are now public to everybody, including their competition. Obviously, this would present a lot of legal implications if, let's say, Nvidia or Intel pick this up, but with other countries that are known to take people's intellectual property and then turn it into their own product, we know who we're talking about. This could mean that they could have something that's on par by using all of the data that is provided by AMD here. The hacker has said that it's actually kind of hilarious how they got hold of it, because it was in an unsecured server with unsecured files, and they were just able to grab it and download it when they got access to the server. So that made it so that it wasn't even really locked down. AMD's biggest trade secrets are now potentially, eventually going to be public knowledge. However, AMD's doing their best to make sure that they are taking down everything that's posted on GitHub, everything that's getting posted anywhere. However, it could be posted on 4chan, it could be posted on Reddit, or like it could be posted in a million different places. And with the Streisand effect, with companies trying to take things down, the internet propagates it. So I wouldn't necessarily participate in this, but I could see the internet at large just like sharing AMD's insider secrets. So AMD in a bit of a pickle. They turned themselves into the pickle. Funniest thing I ever saw. AMD's response to this said that at AMD, data security and protection of our intellectual property are a priority. In December 2019, we were contacted by someone who claimed to have test files related to a subset of our current and future graphics products, some of which were recently posted online but have since been taken down. AMD is trying to not make a big deal of this. They say that this is not going to affect their financial future. This is not going to affect anything that's going on, which is likely true in the vast majority of the world. They're still going to see the vast majority of their sales for GPUs come from Microsoft, Sony, and then they obviously have their desktop GPU division, which is hot and heavy in the rest of the world in America. So they are probably not going to lose out on this, but we can see other countries potentially taking this and then producing competitors in their country because they now have the keys to the kingdom, potentially. We'll see how this goes. We'll keep you updated, but AMD thieved. However, one of the interesting things that I've been hearing out of this stolen thing is that it proves that Sony's PlayStation 5 actually isn't really RDNA 2. It has some RDNA 2. It's a custom RDNA 2, but the codes that were revealed in the hack were for Arden, which is the Xbox Series X SoC, and for Navi 21, which is going to be the desktop GPU, but there's nothing for Sony in all of this. So the speculation is that that's because Sony isn't actually its own custom thing that's specially designed based on RDNA 2. It's actually just a knockoff of RDNA 1 with some RDNA 2 features added in. And that's why it's not as powerful. Speaking of consoles, Xbox Series X, Microsoft put out a video on the 20th of March demonstrating Project Acoustics, where they're gonna have basically 3D audio in a very similar way to what Sony is talking about, maybe not with taking pictures of your ears. Mark Cerny, I'm not giving you my ear, it's gross, okay? But 3D spatial ray traced audio still also coming to Microsoft. Speaking of ray tracing though, Nvidia published their RTX Global Illumination SDK, which will allow developers to develop RTX Global Illumination, RTX cards, and any other card that supports DXR. So this is gonna be for the upcoming RDNA 2 cards coming to AMD. So Nvidia making it so that game developers can develop stuff that can go on AMD cards, but just like with GameWorks, yeah, it works on AMD cards, but does it really? Does it really? We'll see if this actually plays out. But just to keep going back to Nvidia and Microsoft, Nvidia ray tracing, Microsoft DXR. Anyways, Nvidia and Microsoft have both come out saying that their supply chains, they're fine. They don't have an issue with producing anything that's happening right now. The Series X is on track. Nvidia's new stuff is on track. Taiwan's fine. China's fine. Don't worry. We got everything going on. And they also reported a rise in demand for laptops because everybody's doing remote working. So Nvidia thinks that things are good for them. However, the same cannot be said for Apple, because with the lockdown that's happening in India, that means all the manufacturers that produced iPhones in India, such as Foxconn and Wistron, they're known mostly for the iPhone SE and the lower end iPhones, they are shutting down. So some iPhone production will be halted at the time while other iPhone production in China is ramping up. It's gonna make a weird little situation for Apple. We're expecting that India would be the place that the iPhone SE 2 or the iPhone 9, whatever it's called, is supposed to be produced, and that may be why we haven't seen an announcement from Apple, because they anticipated India getting locked down for this, or it's never coming and it was all made up anyways. That's the thing with rumors, you just don't know. And you don't know who's tracking you on the internet, which is why Apple is also taking the next step with Safari on iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, because it will now block all third-party cookies by default. This is something that's already been introduced in other browsers such as Brave and Tor, but now it's going to be implemented in Safari. It's supposed to be safe for you, making sure people aren't tracking you across the world, seeing what you're looking at and then what you're shopping for, and then give you targeted ads based on the things you're buying. I see what some of you buy with our Amazon affiliate code. I'm saying, I see what you buy. I was disturbed. Speaking of tracking you across the internet though, Facebook seeing an unprecedented surge in demand, saying that they're seeing time spent on Facebook increase by 70%. Messaging is increasing more than 50%. We reported how video chats are up 70%, and they're just struggling to keep up with the unprecedented traffic. However, just because traffic is increasing on social media sites such as Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, that doesn't mean that revenue is going up, because advertisers are pulling money away from these platforms because they are trying to rein in their coffers during this global economic crisis that's happening right now. So there's less money that's going to creators such as ourselves and people who are posting on Twitter, Facebook. They're not becoming more financially viable, even though they have more eyeballs. So it's kind of a double lose situation. You're spending more on server infrastructure, but you're also getting less in ad revenue. Speaking of increased bandwidth though, Microsoft is pausing all optional non-security Windows updates for the foreseeable future in order to make sure that they are not causing any congestion on networks by having people get garbage downloads right now for stupid updates that happen every single day and then cause you to restart your computer while you're needing it the most, even though you told it to wait till later. That's not going to happen right now. Only security updates. Are you really secure when anything could attack you from the sky? That's how the Fire Nation gets in. And it's how UPS is going to start delivering, because they're working with a new drone company in Germany called Wingcopter to bring drone delivery to everybody. This drone company is special because they have vertical takeoff with rotors, and then they can go into fixed wing flight over the cities. So they have loud takeoff, quiet sailing, perfect for city environments, making sure that they are just whispering into your neighborhood, drop a package off at your doorstep and fly away.
I kind of just pictured the UPS man coming in through the ceiling like, oh yeah.
I could imagine the UPS man attacking my ceiling. And you don't have to imagine what people on Reddit think, because one, they'll tell you. Two, if they're on Reddit, you'll know. And three, Reddit just introduced a new post type known as polls, so that you can have polls directly in a Reddit post. You could do this previously with third-party stuff, but now it's baked into Reddit itself, because I couldn't tell what the groupthink on Reddit was already. I don't know why I didn't put this near the other Apple stuff, because I got ridiculous with everything I'm doing. Apple is now reporting that they have sourced and donated over 10 million masks to US medical workers. We reported in a previous episode of Hot News that they committed 2 million, but then the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, reported yesterday that they did 9 million, and then Tim Cook came out and said, hey, one more, 10. We did 10 million masks to the US medical workers. And Intel is also donating masks. They've announced that they're donating more than 1 million masks. And obviously you ask, why do all of these tech companies have masks? Well, that's because the situation in which they produce these tech items are very sanitary, very clean. They make sure that they're all wearing garments that keep dust and fingerprints and all of the human disgustingness off of the products. And so you can keep all of the disgustingness of Voldemort off of you. Now let's talk about some free things you can get on the internet right now. Plex has announced that they're making live TV free for 3 months. You just need an antenna and you can watch through the app. You can get local TV for free in Plex. Yeah, that's happening. And then Lyft is also offering free bike share passes to hospital workers in several different cities across the United States, such as New York City, Chicago, and Boston. It's a 30-day bike share pass that'll allow medical workers to make sure that they can get transport here and there for free from Lyft. And also Google Play Movies may soon be offering free movies that are ad supported, which I'm personally not a fan of. Keep that on YouTube. Don't put that in Google Play Movies. I think they should be separate, but there's some indication that free ad supported movies will be coming to Google Play. Its downside is probably it's not going to be very good movies or more recent releases, which makes me sad. You know who makes Elon Musk sad? Failure. You know what happened with the failure recently? Well, it was a parachute test failure that happened because a helicopter was supposed to be taking one of the Crew Dragon capsules, slide over the water and drop it so that they could test the parachute, but something happened where the capsule became unsteady and the helicopter had to bail before it put the helicopter pilot's life at risk. And so the test got canceled, he dropped the capsule, and with everything that's going on with Voldemort, it doesn't look like they can reschedule, so this will delay SpaceX's Crew Dragon takeoffs a little bit because they have to reset and recalibrate. And I have to recalibrate what I think of the company Marshall, because I know them for making guitar amps. I just found out today, and I'm reporting on this, that they are producing Alexa smart speakers, which makes sense. They're a speaker company, right? But it's in the shape of a cube. It was just a little fun tidbit I wanted you to know. And I want you to consider this tidbit. If prunes are just dried plums, where do we get prune juice from, huh? Where's the juice? There's no juice in a dried thing. Right? So that's going to be the end of this episode of Hot News. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget that you can pick up our merch to support us here at UFT Tech. Use coupon code Voldemort to save 15% off right now everything on our merch store. It'd be much appreciated if you could help us out with that. Anyways, I'm Brett with the UFT Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Said Nvidia's.
AMD, crap.